Hi everybody, I'm Stargazer.
And I'm Fiord.
Thank you for joining us. This is the full moon in Aquarius forecast for July 31st, 2015.
Not only will we be talking about the full moon in Aquarius, but we'll be talking about Saturn going direct again in Scorpio. And in addition, we'll be talking about Venus going retrograde, squaring Saturn.
Heavy stuff this week, but also some good news too. Jupiter and Venus conjunct as well, so we'll be talking about all these things. First up,
we're talking about Saturn in Scorpio. So Saturn has been creeping back through Scorpio recently, and it goes direct finally on the 2nd. It's been going retrograde since March 14th, and it re-entered Scorpio from Sagittarius on June 14th. Saturn in Scorpio at this time is giving us a moment to really look at our emotional baggage and our emotional connections to other people. It really wants us to see the patterns that we've created in our lives through connecting to other people, and it wants to see whether or not that's working. And Saturn, of course, is time, and just really wants us to take the time, and maybe force us to take the time to look at these issues. And things will come up, and sometimes it's scary, but that's the part of regeneration, cleaning ourselves out. And we want to be able to flow freely so that when we get back into Sagittarius, we're ready to fly and go in the right direction. It may be a little bit difficult with Saturn and Sagittarius because it's going to clamp down and make us focus exactly in the spot that's the most useful for us. And we want that expansiveness to spread across all of our lives, of course. We want to feel free. But really, the best thing for you to do is to focus on this one point, and that will be your vehicle in the future to more freedom. You're building yourself a boat. Saturn wants structure. It's building the structures for your lives. So at this point, Saturn and Scorpio, it's building the structures of your own emotional support for what's really the most connected for you. And Saturn in Sagittarius will let you be free in that arena, and it will make you basically spend the time to construct yourself a boat to get you where you need to go.
All right, guys, so welcome to the roller coaster of love. Venus is retrograde. This is a pretty dicey period for romantic and personal relationships. There's a lot of question marks hanging out in the environment right now, like where things are going, where do I stand, where do you stand? And we're kind of in limbo right now. It's just sort of a flux period for our relationships, and a really good time to just step back if we need to really figure out what we value and what we need in our lives. This is sort of parenthetical to what Fiord was saying about Saturn and really needing to come to terms with our needs for intimacy and whether or not the relationships we're in meet those needs. Venus squares Saturn throughout this retrograde phase. First 2 weeks ago, then again on August 5th, and finally one last time on October 10th. These are kind of intensely confrontational periods. Relationships are already in a state of flux, going through changes, and we really have to address this issue. Am I getting what I need, what I want? And we'll see relationships break up if they're not really strong enough to withhold the pressure. Relationships that do make it through are going to be really, really strengthened by this. And for those of you who follow my blog and know that I do the cycle astrology, the cycle actually began at the end of November of last year with a conjunction at 25 degrees of Scorpio. We saw the opposition phase in May, and we're now in the closing square. The cycle renews in January. So if those are important milestones for your personal relationships, you can expect that you're going to get this one pretty personally as well. Not really the best time to start new relationships. Again, we're in the closing square, so we're really just sort of sorting out the detritus and the things we need to get rid of right now. But again, a very good time to strengthen bonds. There's sort of a mark of overcoming some great obstacle in the name of love, perhaps. And Jupiter and Venus will be conjunct at the time of the square next week. So there's sort of this urgency to overcome something in order to find love or express love. And this might be happening very much internally. It might not be happening, explicitly in our lives. But the emotional awareness of these triggers is really significant, particularly in the retrograde phase. It's also worth mentioning when Venus is retrograde, sort of the feminine archetype of a docile female energy really goes out the window. Retrograde Venus is really renegade. She's really badass. And she's not going to take it anymore if things in a relationship aren't going the right way or she's been taking it for too long. She's going to put her foot down. And some relationships kind of aren't ready for that emotional honesty. If this is your case, that's what we're going through. So, if you have to step back, this is a really healthy and appropriate time to do that. I find with absence, we can either realize that we're in a totally inappropriate situation. Otherwise, you might really come to value what you have with somebody by not having them around and see wow, I really need you in my life and it really sucks that you're not here. So really useful for that. And everybody's going through it. It's not just you or me, everyone's going through this at the same time. So some question marks, it's cool. All right, so full moon in Aquarius, July 31st, 2015. This is a really nice punctuation mark.
Finally some good news.
In an otherwise kind of tumultuous period, there's, good vibes coming from Leo for sure. But the Saturn in Scorpio is giving us a lot of stuff to work with. And of course, we're in the middle of summer, so a lot of Cancer energy and the Mars in Cancer transit sort of sensitizing the ambience. This is a nice, social, objective, connective time. This is a really nice one to just sort of be among your friends, especially if the relationship and personal energies have gotten a little intense.
Yeah, a bit of a fresh air aspect going on. I think it's a really good time to reach out to your communities and get the emotional support that you need for communities. Also a time to support your communities if you feel that there's someone who needs help. If your community needs help, it's maybe a good time to reach out. And by doing so, by relating to our communities, I think it's going to give us a wider perspective and let us see how our emotions connect with the bigger picture.
And Aquarius, of course, is always going to relate to what makes us unique. So this is a really good time for unique self-expression and doing just things in a different way. Venus in retrograde is kind of giving us that experimental quality, experimental relationship patterns and life modes, and Aquarius kind of says, okay, sure, let's try just something really different. And it's a breath of fresh air.
I think this time people are you feel a little bit different. The full moon in Aquarius, your feelings are different maybe than other people's feelings around you. So it's time to respect that and to find other people who are feeling the same way and to really celebrate that.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck over the next 2 weeks. Take it all in, take it easy, and we'll see you soon with a new moon in Leo forecast that's going to be on the 14th of August.
And if you'd like any more information about what's been happening this week and the upcoming weeks and the past, there's a lot of information over at Stargazer's website. That website is Stargazer Astro Atlas at wordpress.com.
And we'd also like to thank our friend John Couture for providing us with the digital backdrop. You can get his blog at johncultureart.blogspot.com. See you soon, guys.
Thanks. If there's any questions you'd like answered, please email us at stargazerastroatlas@gmail.com.